You know, in choosing my videos, I try to find the things that are seen and not heard. The things that we don't really know about. And I've had a few questionable ones here and there. However, if I'm not on a watch list, I absolutely will be after this. Today we're going to talk about DARPA. Gather around, children. Let's take a trip all the way back to the middle of the century. The US had a problem. So did Japan. The Yamato was a coral reef. Any hoozles? As I said, the US was having a problem. We were losing the space race to the Soviets. October 4th, 1957. The Soviet Union launched the first man-made satellite into space with Sputnik 1. You see, this was a problem. The Soviets were beating us to space. And they were far more technologically advanced than us. Up until the moon landing, the Soviets beat us in every step of the space race. They had the first satellite. Laika the dog was the first animal in space. Yuri Gagarin was the first man. Valentina Tereshkova was the first woman in space. All done by the Soviet Union. You see, the US was concerned that if they could put people and dogs and satellites into orbit, what else could they put in there? The threat of nuclear war from the Soviet Union was growing to be a real problem at this time. So the fact that they were beating us meant that they can put nuclear weapons up there. And to be honest, the people of the US were terrified. There were videos shown in classrooms talking about duck and cover.
He knew just what to do. He ducked and covered.
What happens if there's a nuclear strike? No bullshit. During that time, President Kennedy was like, nah, we're not having this. The Saturn V was really still in the developmental stages and was nowhere near any kind of completion. And this problem continued until Dwight D. Eisenhower, aka Ike, stepped in and said, oh, I'm done with this bullshit. Formed on February 7th, 1958, ARPA, or ARPA, which stands for the Advanced Research Projects Agency, was formed. Their primary focus was the space race. Well, that national defense. 2 U.S. acts, the Supplemental Military Construction Authorization and the Department of Defense Directive, formed ARPA. Once created, ARPA was put under the direction of the Secretary of Defense. Here's your first sign. Between 1958 and 1965, ARPA's primary objective was space, ballistic missile defense, and nuclear test detection. Fun fact though, in July of 1958, there was another government program funded. We call this the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. During this time, ARPA pretty much concentrated their efforts on Project Defender, which was defense against ballistic missiles, Project Vela, which was nuclear test detection, and Project Agile, which was the counterinsurgency R&D. In March 1972, the name ARPA was given the letter D, which stands for defense, making it what we know it as today, DARPA. Actually, in 1993, the name was changed back to ARPA. However, that lasted until 1996, where it reverted back to where it is today. Today, DARPA has a budget of $4.1 billion, with a B, and only employs 220 people. Headquartered in Ballston, Virginia, she still remains under the Department of Defense. Round-faced history guy! For the love, what? Why are you telling us all of this? Thank you so much for asking. Because DARPA is the reason of the modern age. Their projects have shaped the way our world is today. GPS was a DARPA project. They started it in the 60s. Stealth aircraft like the B-2, that was a DARPA thing. Voice-activated assistants like Siri, that was DARPA. The internet was DARPA. Originally, the internet was called ARPA-Net. It was the first wide area packet switching network. Hypertext and hypermedia, that was DARPA. What does that all matter? That's how cell phones work. Cell phones operate off of hypermedia, hypertext, and packet-to-packet sharing. The chips that we use in cell phones, that was DARPA. Night vision, DARPA. Infrared sensing, DARPA. Automatic target recognition, DARPA. Modern AI, DARPA. And I know everybody's seen those robots from Boston Dynamics on the internet. Yeah, that's a joint venture between Boston Dynamics and DARPA. The general saying is, whatever consumer technology we have out here, DARPA is about 20 to 50 years ahead of it. I've also heard it said that whatever technology we have now, that we are somewhere actually around 100 years more advanced than it. I believe it. Go back 20 years, all the way back to 2005. The flip phone was a big deal. We were losing our minds with phones that had FM transmitters in it. You were still T9 texting. Some of you might not know what it is. However, come forward 20 years. We carry more computing power in our pockets nowadays than NASA had when it sent people to the moon. Thanks to DARPA. DARPA has actually created an Iron Man suit, a full exosuit. They've actually come up with a suit that helps decrease fatigue for soldiers. This works like the Black Panther suit. It takes and transfers energy and helps move the muscles of the body so the soldier doesn't get as fatigued. That's insane. Round base history, bro. Another question. Yeah, what you got? DARPA doesn't sound all that bad. Is there a question in there? Is it all good things? Thank you so much for asking. No. You know, one of the things DARPA was instrumental in creating was Agent Orange. You see, during Vietnam, the military was having a hard time finding the Viet Cong. That's because they were hiding under the trees in the jungle. We couldn't see them. And you can't fight an enemy you can't see. So DARPA began doing research to find a chemical that would help clear the foliage. Now they went through a bunch of them, such as Agent Blue, Agent Purple, Agent Red. Agent Orange is the one that worked. Officially, it was a herbicide. That's right, it was an herbicide, not a chemical weapon, because the use of chemical weapons would have been a war crime according to Geneva. Agent Orange was officially deployed in Vietnam to help kill all the trees and foliage and everything so we could see the enemy. And it was effective. Fun fact, one of the major chemical companies that was a manufacturer of Agent Orange was Dow Chemicals, the same company that makes Windex. Now, it was a very effective herbicide. It killed everything it was supposed to. Officially, there were no human side effects from the use of Agent Orange.
I was Agent Orange. That was my name, Agent Orange. Special Agent Orange. That was me.
But I'm not going to go into that. I'm going to stick with the official story. But if you're interested in it, it might be worth a look. Today, DARPA mostly focuses on AI development. In 2019, DARPA developed an autonomous robot with AI. This robot was basically supposed to go into the battlefield and give advance warning to ground troops. To quote the fat electrician Robo-Grunt, they made Robo-Grunt. However, their mistake came in is when they decided to train the AI, they got the Marines involved. Now, the Marines had a great time. However, DARPA engineers were probably like, son of a bitch! You see, the goal was to touch the robot before the robot saw him. A couple of Marines did the old Amazon Prime print camouflage, put a box on top of him like Wile E. Coyote, and they were able to get to the robot and touch it before the robot even realized what was happening. People on site said that they could hear the Marines audibly giggling as they were walking towards the robot in this box. Bad day for the ARPA engineers, great day for the Marines. However, today, DARPA continues to advance technology in ways that we can't even comprehend yet. And while they do have a checkered past, I believe that they are a necessary evil. And with that being said, thanks for watching. The best way to support me is to like, comment, or share in my videos. TikTokHistoryTeacher.com. You can link over to the merch store, Discord, Vibe PEMF device, or Vagu Vibe VNS device. If you want more content, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you'll be notified every time I post a video. You can also follow me on TikTok at TikTokHistoryTeacher, where I post videos almost daily. If you want to see more of these videos, head over to TikTokHistoryTeacher.com and join my Patreon. Now, I love doing this, and for only a couple dollars a month, you could give me the ability to continue to make the content I make and to make more. And with that being said, be nice, be kind, be patient.